And we are live. Unfortunately, it did not broadcast to Facebook. I'm not sure what happened there, Kim.
Okay.
So I did put a notice up for anyone on Facebook to come over to our YouTube channel to watch. So I apologize. So tonight I'm joined by Kimberly Truitt. She is the aunt of Lillian Payne, who was found murdered after her disappearance on May 13th, 2020 from Rock Hill, South Carolina. Kimberly, welcome to Locating the Lost.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. So if you don't mind, I'm going to have you, just like I start every episode, I really want people to understand who the person was, or if it's a missing person, who that missing person is. So if you don't mind talking about your niece, Lillian, for us, tell us about her likes, her interest, and everything she did when she was a kid, the type of kid she was.
Lily was a sweet child. When she was born, she was a miracle baby. My sister had lost her first child to SIDS. And when Lily was born, it was just amazing. My sister gave her my middle name, the Ann. She's named after me, so that was really special. Watching her grow up was just something. She was sugar and spice and a lot of sass. She grew up into a teenager, rebellious. She was a wild child. She was just amazing kid. Loved her to death. She enjoyed spending time with her family. She was a selfie girl. She used to send me selfies constantly. She loved makeup. She wanted to be a model at one point in her life. Just never got the chance. So
yeah, she's absolutely stunning. She could definitely have done that if that's what she had wanted to do.
Yeah, she did. That was one of the things that we had talked about she wanted to be when she grew up, but we just never got there.
Yeah. I did get, I can't remember if you sent me these pictures or if I took them from your page.
You might have took those from my page, and I sent you the video that I had made. I have other pictures that are more private, especially ones when she was younger and a baby. I have this one of my oldest daughter holding her as a baby at a train station, and it's a 5-year-old child holding a 1-year-old, and my daughter looks like she's going to drop Lily, and Lily had these big beautiful blue eyes, and they were just so brilliant. She had a little southern drawl when she talked, and she would always call me Aunt Kim, Aunt Kim. And it would always make me laugh or smile when she would yell my name. So
I noticed you don't have much of a southern drawl.
No, I do not. I was born and raised in New Jersey. My father's side of the family was from South Carolina. Our family has lived in that area same kind of property for 200 years down there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my father and grandfather had homes next to each other, and she lived in her grandfather's home. She had 2 small boys when she passed away, when she expired. One picture there is her brother, Lily, my mother, my 3 kids, one on the right-hand side of me. So that's her family.
So how old was she in this picture?
That was my brother's wedding. So maybe about 11 or 12.
Okay. Sensei, she looks really short. How tall was Lily?
5'4". She was 5'4" and 125 pounds.
Okay.
She was just a petite little thing. Yeah, that was my brother's wedding. That's Lily with her brother Johnny and her grandmother. My grandmom, Sarah's, she's 94. My mom is, in her late 60s, and she survived cancer. And This
Wow.
has hit them. This has hit them both really, really hard. They've had a hard time coping with everything.
I'm sure.
They
And
worry. They worry. That we have new protocols in the family, like we let everybody know when we're going somewhere, where we're going to be, who we're going to be with. We have GPS trackers. We wear smartwatches. This incident changed the way we live, the whole entire family.
yeah, I can only imagine. Like I've said 100 times on this podcast, I can't imagine because I've never been through this, but I would think it's definitely an eye-opening experience, and everyone cares about their loved ones and want to take care of them. So
that is true. That's true. As you can see, she was a selfie girl. She loved her selfies. She loved clothes. She wanted to go into modeling or like fashion design. She liked to decorate things. She was one of those bedazzler kids, wanted to bejewel everything. Everything had to be sparkly.
So I don't know when you were talking about. Oh, sorry. When you were talking about where you were from and all that stuff, did you mention that you were living in Maine now?
Oh no, I did not mention. Well, so I've been living in Maine for about the last 10 years. And we own a 20-acre farm in Peru. When Lily went missing, I spearheaded the effort for her search and to try to figure out what would happen. We did flyers. I had them printed down there. Her friends helped me search. They would ride around in cars. And I did all that from up here.
That's wild.
Was the family spokesperson. It was during COVID, so nobody could really go anywhere. So I did news interviews from my kitchen over Zoom. They actually had me on the news a couple times, and I was in my kitchen on Zoom because you couldn't travel. So this was the height of COVID.
Yeah. So I do have a comment here. Armin is asking, where did this happen? So this happened in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Well, throw that back up there.
It's Lily lived in Edgemoor, South Carolina, and she actually went missing from McConnell's, South Carolina, which is in Chester County. And her missing person report was filed in York County. This is one of the discrepancies that I have. Because they say where she got into the van is where she went missing, not from where the last place she was seen.
Wow.
So like I said, I don't, in the messages I had sent you and Jeff, I don't believe that things were handled properly from the beginning as far as the police in this case. And some of the things that happened.
Yeah. Let's talk about what we do know about at the point where just so we kind of flow this along, kind of like a story, the beginning, middle, and end. So what do we know about the days leading up to her disappearance? What kind of mood is she in? Did she mention to anyone there's any issues she's having with anyone?
So I spoke to Lillian on May 10th. She had been arrested for having Suboxone without a prescription. She had lost her father and her grandmother that she was very, very close to. She had broken up with the father of one of her children and was struggling. So she was using drugs. And I had talked to her on May 10th. Went out, got a long conversation. I asked her what she was in jail for. She was real honest and talked to me. She asked me if she could come and live with me. I asked her if she would be willing to go to rehab. She said that she would think about it. And that was the last time I spoke to my niece. 3 days later, she disappeared. She wound up. The story is a little insane, but I'll start at the beginning. So her brother's girlfriend, and her wound up going into Chester South Carolina, which is where she lived in Edgemoor is between Rock Hill and Chester's in the opposite direction. So when you go out of my dad's road, either make a left to Rock Hill or a right to Chester. They went to Chester, they went to a McDonald's, and they broke down. My sister and my sister's boyfriend went and picked them up, put a battery in the car. There was something wrong, or in his truck. There was something wrong with it. They drove home. About 1 o'clock in the morning, Lily, Johnny, and his girlfriend decided they were going down to the Flying J, which is towards Rock Hill. And it's like a truck stop gas station. I remember when it was built, my grandfather used to live right next door to it. There's a road called Reed Road right next to this Flying J that my aunt lives on, my cousins live on. So I grew up going there to get like sodas and whatnot. So
she was really familiar with the area.
Well, yeah, with this gas station in particular, it's the closest one to the house, and it's rural. You would think it would be safe. So they went there. They met this gentleman, and he's 40-some, he was 43, I think, at the time, 42 or 43 at the time. But he asked these children. Lily was the oldest at 21, and I think the other two were 18 and 17 at the time, if they wanted to smoke marijuana. Well, of course, young children at 1 a.m. want to smoke free marijuana, so they went with this gentleman. Lily got in his green van, and my nephew followed in his truck with his girlfriend. They wound up going through backcountry roads, back towards Chester on a dirt road to a church. I believe it was called St. Paul's Church in McConnell, South Carolina. And that's where they proceeded to smoke cannabis. And they went to the Speed Pay in McConnell's, which is another gas station. And that is the last time my nephew and his girlfriend saw my niece. Lily decided she was going to stay with the gentleman in the green van. She had met him on one other occasion at a friend's house. They were Facebook friends, so she thought she knew who he was.
And so who was that guy that owned the green van?
He said his name was Ray Atkinson, and he has a Facebook profile and a Plenty of Fish profile under the same name. I didn't find out till later. His real name is Augustus Ray Hammond.
And so what do we know about Augustus?
Well, he's a character. He uses multiple aliases. Ray Atkinson, Ray Wright, Gus Hammond. I believe he was using Gus Wright. So he changes his name and he moves from county to county between North Carolina and South Carolina. And he commits crimes against women. He has a 92-page background check, which I'm in possession of. This is from 2020. It's increased since then. I don't have an updated copy, but he has third-degree sexual assault, rape charges, the delinquency of minors. It's very lengthy and very ugly, honestly. So I was sent. It took a while to figure out who this gentleman was. We reported her missing, and the police told us Ray Atkinson didn't exist. They thought we were liars. I posted his picture everywhere on Facebook and other places, and a woman came forward who was the mother of 2 of his children, and she told me his real name, and she told me that if my niece was with that man, that she was in severe danger. She went on to tell me that she had to change her name and hide her children from him because he's violent and dangerous. I've had several family members of his contact me and tell me that he raped them.
God.
I had one gentleman contact, this was all while I was searching for her. One gentleman contacted me and told me that he lit his sister on fire.
Wow. Is that in his background check, or is that something he did as a minor?
It's not that deep. His background check's just the charges and his aliases and his known associates. It doesn't tell you the specifics. And I had another young lady contact me that said, well, the bail bondsman, I don't know if you saw the picture of him being tased.
I might have, but I don't think I put it in here. Yeah.
So the bail, okay, so you had the bail bondsman pictures. They send me those every time that he gets arrested. I have one of him being tased because he ran. The bail bondsmen they're great. They're way better than the police down there. So every time he runs and they catch him, they send me pictures. But the one, he ran from the one time he was tased.
That's too bad.
So, yeah, it is too bad. But, they keep getting him. They keep letting him go. He keeps doing more crimes. Like I said, since all this stuff happened with my niece, he's been arrested multiple times since then. He just spent a year in jail.
Karen said they need stiffer sentences for creeps like this. She says throw away the damn key. Yeah,
I totally agree.
It's weird how people get these long rap sheets, keep doing the same shit, and they're just walking free.
So I'll finish walking you through the story. They couldn't find him. They said I was lying. And then the lady came forward and told me his name. So I took that to the police. And we were being handled by the York County Sheriff's Office out of Rock Hill then. And they weren't really, I don't think, doing anything actively to look for him. I plastered his face all over Facebook, and someone at the Plasma Center, whoever you are, thank you. They called the police when he came in because they saw my post. They reported him that he was there, and the police actually got him. This was like about 3-4 weeks after she went missing. And
so that was his job then, selling his plasma?
Yes, as far as I can tell.
Wow.
But he picked, like I said, he picked her up in a stolen van. He was living in a stolen camper, selling his plasma. So that's how he got picked up. They questioned him at that time. And 2 days before they found my niece's body, he got out of jail. Her son's birthday was the next day, the 21st of July. She didn't come home for that. I knew then something was seriously, seriously wrong. It had been months, but I knew that she would have been home for that. And then I woke up July 22nd. When a person goes missing, there's no handbook for that, and the police are not helpful. They have to rule you out as a suspect before they'll even talk to you. So I just kept searching for her. Like I said, missing persons were doing searches. The police told me not to offer a reward. They told me they weren't going to search. So we were doing our own thing on our own time. I couldn't sleep.
Basically, they said, don't do anything because we're not doing anything either.
Yeah, pretty much. And they weren't very helpful. And then On the 22nd of July, well, I had my phone set to alerts from that area. Any missing, there were a couple of people found in the 3 months that she was missing. And I, called a police officer and he would say, no, it's not her. And it was really hard living that way, just every missing person. Well, I woke up one morning and it said that the police were on site for a body in McConnell, South Carolina. And my heart sunk into my stomach. I just knew it was her. I called my detective from York County, and he was on site at the Chester County crime scene. So I knew in no doubt that it was her. They called me back and asked me for pictures of her tattoo or pictures of the jewelry she was wearing, which I couldn't remember what tattoo she had to save my life. It was a sunflower on her wrist, but I couldn't remember. I called around, asked some people, nobody could remember. And I don't have a picture of that. I did have the pictures of her wearing her jewelry. Actually, the one on the right, I think both of those pictures, that the jewelry around her neck she never took off, the heart that's on it is her father's ashes.
Oh, wow.
I had bought that for her when her father died. And I still had the receipt. So her body was actually identified from the jewelry. Her body was so decomposed that she couldn't be identified by DNA.
Where was she found? Like, I know you told us the county and everything, but if you can describe the scene, the best.
So, and the day after they found her body, I landed in South Carolina with my daughter. I picked up my nephew and I picked up his girlfriend. They had no idea where we were going or what we were doing. The first place I went was the coroner's office, and they were locked up tight like a church, and no one would talk to me. The next place I went was the Chester County. So I called our detective from York County. He was on the Chester County crime scene. After I'd sent him those pictures of her jewelry, he called me back and told me he was no longer my police officer and could not talk to me anymore. So that's how I knew it was her, because now it's a Chester County homicide and not a York County missing person.
Wow.
The next day I flew down because the coroner told me I should be there for my sister. I flew down to South Carolina with one of my daughters. My other daughter drove. And took my nephew and his girlfriend, my daughter, and I to the police station. Well, first went to the coroner. They wouldn't talk to us. So went to the police station. No one would come down and talk to me, not one single person. So then we drove out I had my nephew, I said, we went to the Flying J, and I said, take me the same exact way that you went to this church. So we went to this church in McConnell, South Carolina, and you can look it up on Google Maps. It's Cameron and Howe Road. So the church is on Cameron, I believe. And they call Augustus Ray. So we'll just call him that for now. Like, he has many aliases, but we'll just call him as Ray, because that's what Lily and my nephew knew him as. But Ray literally lived right off the corner of Howe Road in a stolen camper. My niece was found dead at the crossroads of Cameron and Howe in the woods on it's like a dirt road or path. It wasn't a road. It was more like a dirt path that people have rode on. When I got
like
there,
a trail then, right?
Well, you could drive a vehicle on it. It looked like you could drive a car on it, but I think it was more like, like a farm thing. Somebody driving through the woods with like a farm vehicle or something. Right across the street from that is a lot of cornfield. So it's like a cornfield, and then where Ray lived. So if you looked right across from where she was, you could see his stolen camper.
So ridiculous. This guy has not been charged.
And she smoked the marijuana, with him right down the street. She didn't leave where she was. Then they had him in jail. He said that he dropped her off at a hotel the next day. Well, no, that's where he sold her phone. Her phone wound up in Rock Hill, and it was sold 10 times on the street before it was recovered by the police officers. One of her friends at the time had actually bought it back off a drug dealer.
Oh my God.
That was before the police wound up with it. Her best friend, Ava, actually had to call the police and be like, hey, this lady has this phone. So it's like right at the time when he said, I dropped her off at a hotel. Well, it had been so long, there was no hotel footage. He couldn't remember conveniently which hotel he supposedly dropped her off at. He says that
Of course not.
they had hung out all night, and then he went to the blood plasma clinic, but no one saw her there, and there's no video of her at a blood plasma clinic, parking lot, or anything like that. Then he says he dropped her off at a hotel, but he can't remember. The police searched every hotel. Unfortunately, it was too long for most of the people to have security footage. I don't think she ever was in Rock Hill. I don't think she ever lived in McConnell's. The coroner told us she died that evening.
So they were actually able to determine that, because actually I think someone just,
So
Tree just said, did they say time frame of passing? So the coroner ruled it that night, right?
She was stabbed to death multiple times. She was stabbed so hard that her ribs were broken. She was left out in the wild for 3 months. Her body was deteriorated to the point that they could not identify her by DNA. She was eaten by dogs and birds.
Oh my gosh.
So from the amount of decay to the body, I've read the autopsy report. This is actually the first time I've ever talked about this with anybody other than my sister. From the amount of decay, Terry Tinker, the coroner at Chester County, said that she died that evening, that day, within a 24-hour period between the 13th and the 14th. I dispute what they put on her death certificate as the 22nd. She died in May. She never made it out of McConnell's.
So on the death certificate, it says the 22nd.
It says the 22nd. Yes, sir. And I dispute that. That's another discrepancy I don't believe in. That was the day she was found, so that's what they put.
How old was Ray at the time?
42 or 43, I believe.
All right, so he's 43, hanging out with this 21-year-old girl, and
yeah, I was told by the police that it's not illegal to have young girlfriends. That's what they told me about him. And then they told me they believe this is Detective King from York County, told me he believed Ray's story when he had him in the jail, that he dropped her off at a hotel. And I said, well, I don't. And then they found her body 2 days later. Ray wound up getting arrested for something else not too long after that in Chester County. The stolen camper and the stolen truck. He got arrested for it, but it didn't go to trial. It was no process. I'm not sure why. Also did find a earring Lily was wearing in this green van. It was identified by me and my sister, so I'm not sure why those charges were dropped or no processed, but they were.
So we know that he picked her up that night. He brought her back to his house. Her earrings in his van. She's found a few hundred yards from his house.
Yeah.
Stabbed to death. Did they say was it a knife that they believed he used, or was it some
They
other?
didn't say what kind of weapon. So, and I know it's never okay. So we were given the autopsy after a lot of arguing and requesting it and yelling about it, and like they didn't want to release any much information to the family. So they finally gave us the autopsy report after a year, but we're still trying to get the DNA report, the anthropologist report, because they sent her to the anthropologist to study her bones.
Did
So
they say for what reason?
I don't know if it was to figure out what type of weapon it was, or if it was, to figure out weapon striations. They never really told us why they were holding it up. They didn't release her remains for several months. So we had to beg and plead to even put her to rest.
It's awful. So disgusting. Tree 1967 says, so does he know someone that possibly helped him from getting locked up or looked into for her unaliving? So do you know if he has any connection on the police department or anything, like a brother, cousin, relative, friend?
I do not. So I don't know much about Ray. I've never met him, never encountered him till, I found all this out, but I still don't know much about him. I know that his grandfather was a big prominent person in Fort Mill, South Carolina, his father, I'm sorry, was a prominent person in Fort Mill. He owned a liquor store, a liquor distributorship. Ray has a sister. That's the name he uses, is Wright. He gets that from her.
I must say,
I know he had a son that passed away, an older one that was he was the same age as Lily. So he had a child the same age as her. Oh, that's what I wanted to tell you earlier, was the bail bondsman. So the bail bondsmen, they actually had told me that they think that there's possibility he murdered someone else in North Carolina.
And who would that be?
That they wouldn't tell me who. But the bail bondsman, I have a message from him telling me that, my niece isn't the only one he's suspected of murdering.
I was going to say he has a very punchable face. I'm not sure if anyone else agrees with me, but...
Oh, I've been wanting to punch him for many, many years, but... I know that he harms women. He targets those that are vulnerable. I've rescued 5 different women from my posts. I've rescued them from the same fate as my niece. The most recent one was in Lexington, South Carolina last year. And same thing, same MO. He stole 2 trucks this time, living in a stolen camper, lit her aunt's trailer on fire, was trying to kill her aunt, but he killed her dogs instead, stole her safe. He was being chased by the cops, so he stole another car from another truck from a car lot, and he only got a year for all that.
Unreal. Did they say if they have any DNA related to this case at all, or was she sexually assaulted that we know of?
So the autopsy report doesn't say anything about that. I can't remember the other report I didn't get, but they won't release anything. I've asked, my sister filed a missing person report in Chester County first, because she went missing in McConnell's. McConnell's is in Chester County. Yes, it's on the line, but that's where the last place anybody saw her physically. Report was filed there. They said, no, we can't take it because she got in the van in York County at the Flying J. So you have to file it there. That's how we wound up with a York County officer. I've asked them for copies of the missing person reports. They won't give them to me. I've asked for the anthropologist report, the DNA report, and the toxicology report. Those are the other 3 I wanted, and they won't give them to me because it's an active investigation.
Right.
The police don't
really
talk
inactive.
to us. Well, and they don't talk to us much. They don't like me being vocal, and they also don't like my criticism.
Wonder why.
We got transferred to a Chester County officer, and I got police officer who, and I would ask for an update or send him new information. He would tell me he doesn't have to talk to me. And my sister too. They won't return phone calls. now after 6 years, we have a new officer and he's new set of eyes. They're supposed to be putting her case into an AI system, which is some new thing that they have. So
I've
hopefully
been
it'll
reading
help.
about that.
Well, she's going to be one of the first ones putting this AI system in South Carolina.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Veronica
so
says she just tuned in. So how long was she missing before she was found? So she went missing May
13th to
13th.
July 22nd, 2020.
Thank you.
And she was accidentally found. That piece of property, like I said, it's rural, very wooded. So people were building a house and they were bulldozing some trees and they found her body. So I said, whoever that is, thank you. Thank you so much. I know it must have been disturbing to you, but I'm appreciative because only 15% of missing people get their people back. So thank you.
Yeah. Was she buried or was she covered up or something? Or?
When I got off the plane and after I left Chester County Sheriff's and Coroner's office, we drove out to the church. And then I had my nephew take me to where Ray lived. I didn't go there. I just rode past because I wanted to see how close it was. It was literally, it's not even, it's like 2 city, because, I grew up in the city, but 2 city blocks. And then, there's like a cross street and you make a left and it's like 1 city block down. His house is right there, but it's all rural. It's a big cornfield and some woods. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought.
Yeah, sorry. Veronica's asking, did they say if they did any kits on her? And you kind of alluded to that. Really, they didn't tell you much. Like,
no, they won't. It's really weird. I show up on the crime scene the next day. I went to Ray's place, then I went back to Howell to the corner, and I didn't know where her body was found. Well, there was a man working on a tractor right there at the stop sign at the first house. And I said, hey, my niece is the person whose body was found yesterday. Could you show me? And he took me to the exact spot. While we were there, me and my children, my nephew and his girlfriend, the police showed up. Somebody called the cops on us. And he was trying to arrest me for trespassing. So that was also a York County officer. I won't say which one. But yeah,
you told him who you were.
Went to jail. Well, I did, and I told him you can arrest me. And he told me I was trespassing. I said, well, my niece was the one that was found here yesterday, and you can lock me up. And I gave him my hands. And then when he realized who I was, he said, no, take as much time as you need. But at that point, there wasn't a caution tape or anything that said that you couldn't go back there or it was a crime scene, which I thought was so weird. After 24 hours, you would think they wouldn't want people back there. And it hadn't even been 24 hours. I was on a plane the next day, first thing. So when I got there, it had just one of those wire cables like we would see here in Maine, just strung across 2 trees.
Yeah.
So I just stepped over it. I was and the guy, the neighbor guy had led us there. So I wasn't really, it didn't say no trespassing or don't cross. So I felt
Did you get any trees asking, did you get any pictures of the area?
Yes, I have detailed pictures of the area.
Good. Is that something you have readily available? I do
not. I do not.
That's fine.
But no,
is that something you've shared on your page? I'm gonna put your page back.
No, I've never shared that. I've never shared that with anyone.
You do have a Facebook page. It's called Justice for Lillian Payne. I want to put that in the comment section down here. So if you guys want to follow the page to learn more about her case and anything you guys can do to help as well. So just put that in the comment section. Did they they sat down with Ray. They interviewed him. And they believed his
Multiple
story.
times.
What was his story? He dropped her off at a hotel and they said, okay,
Well,
sounds good to us.
The first time they arrested him, that's what they said. He dropped her off at a hotel and he couldn't remember which one. And they said he believed him. Well, then they picked him up again. Chester County did, for the trailer and the stolen van. And he had my niece's stimulus check in his back pocket in his wallet.
Wow.
And
I'm sure she gave that to him.
And what's funny is his girlfriend, his daughter, had texted me a message and said that Ray has your niece's stimulus check in his pocket or something to that effect. And then my sister was taken down to the police station and she was questioned for 4 hours. And I hadn't even got to tell her about this check yet. And then she comes and tells me the police questioned her about it. So like I had to call them right back and be like, no, and I'll send you this text message. So like it's been a runaround. I've sent them everything that I have and I know, but at the time all this was happening, the police department was falling apart. One of the call to action things is, please, if you're interested in this case, please email them and ask them to turn it over to the FBI. Chester County, the people handling this case, the sheriff and the deputies were being sentenced for corruption at the time of Lily's disappearance, and the county commissioner was arrested. Yeah, they were arrested shortly after her body was found. It was like, I think it was September, for making meth in county vehicles and selling it out of county vehicles.
What?
Oh, yeah. Shit. So
holy shit. What county is this?
This is Chester County. You can Google it. And that, what's it? The Hildigo Beach Killer. He owns property there. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he sold it to his brother, but he owned property there until he was arrested. So I told them a couple years ago, hey, I think you guys have a serial killer, and they told me, Miss Truitt, you're crazy. Well, he actually was there, and he does have a few South Carolina victims. So when you start investigating these things, all these people come out of the woodwork and they contact you, and it may not have anything to do with your case, but it does sometimes have things to do with other cases. And that's how I've wound up learning so much about missing people and murder victims. That particular area has a really, really high rate of missing and murdered people. Unfortunately, the year before my niece, in September 19, Melissa Wittes, she was from Kentucky. She was found on a road out there, burned on the side of the road. Then Lily disappeared the next year. And then Jonah Payne was, I think, the year after that. And they're no relation. I wound up becoming friends with all these missing person and murdered people. Last year in May, it was Lily's first boyfriend, Zachary Patterson. He wound up missing and murdered.
Oh my gosh.
They found him. He was in front of the firehouse in Leslie, South Carolina. That's also in between Rock Hill and Edgemoor. And he, what hit home with his disappearance was he was one of the ones that helped me search for Lily. And wow. They have him walking in front of the firehouse, and then he was found a couple months later underneath a bridge naked.
Unreal.
Jonah Payne, they at first said that it was not a suspicious death. She died of drinking of antifreeze. She had antifreeze in her system.
Not suspicious at all.
I don't think she willingly did that, and that's not suspicious at all, but they labeled it as a not suspicious death. I'm friends with her mom, Terry Hall, and she's like me. She doesn't live there. She's in Virginia. But like, Kim, we fight for these girls. It's crazy.
Yeah, and you're doing a great job. Kim, I do want get to a couple of these comments here real quick. So, Erwin,
Yep.
I love this. That's why I left it up there so long. You want to find the lost, find the predators first. Maybe that should be our tagline. So I like that a lot.
I do like that a lot.
Tree says maybe go look at, and she's talked about the pictures that you talked about earlier. Look at them real close, see if there's something that looks odd that they could have missed.
What's really odd is, just I want to comment on this one. What's really odd is the day after her body was found, they gave us back all her jewelry. You would think that
after?
Yeah, well, it was the day her body was found. They gave back they gave my sister, my niece's jewelry, the coroner.
What?
Yes.
They won't give you anything else, but they'll give her jewelry back.
Yes, and the police didn't keep it for evidence. Don't think it was ever swabbed. They gave us back all her jewelry, and there's one necklace in there none of us recognized or could identify. We told them multiple times. It was in an evidence bag. I'd never seen anything so poorly managed or mishandled.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
Veronica says,
comment.
Yeah, Veronica says, so there wasn't any relationship with her and him. There was a slight relationship. She had met him before. They were actually Facebook friends, but I don't think she was real tight with a dude.
Well, no. Well, that's the thing. No, I don't. She didn't have a phone number for him, or had never been to his house. She had seen him at other friends' house, not met her through other people. And I guess Kim, when you saw each other at the gas station, it was just chance encounter.
And just so people know, Kim, you are, I just totally got sidetracked. Kim, you are Lillian's aunt, right? Somebody just asked if you were the mom, but you're the aunt. Her mom still lives. Does her mom live in the area where she disappeared from?
Her mom still lives there. That's correct.
That's got to be hard for her to live in that same area, knowing that the sheriff's department is shitty. I actually want to show this real quick.
She talks to him on a regular basis.
So if you have tips, please contact the Chester County Sheriff's Office at 803-385-5433. Sorry, go ahead, Kim.
Nope, and ask them to please turn it over to the FBI too.
Yeah, something needs to happen. I don't understand how she could be found so close to his. I'm sorry if I turned off the wrong one.
I have the same thoughts in my head as well. Like when I went there and I saw like how close you can literally see from where he lived where her body was.
And there was no murder weapon found, right?
That's correct. At least to my knowledge. They've never really said. The police haven't really said much of anything. They got really upset with us when they found out that we knew she was stabbed. We were questioned on how we knew that, and it was actually the coroner that told us. And then he released it to the press, so I don't think they were supposed to do that either.
Right.
Because the police, they had told us not to say anything, and then it came out in the news anyway. The coroner released it, so I don't think they were supposed to say half the things they did.
So you had to start to describe the location where she was found. When you guys visited that, did you see anything? Was there anything at all left there?
No, there was absolutely nothing. It looked like a woods. It was a beautiful spot, actually. It's all treed, and it's when we visited it, it was almost the end of the day, so the sun was going down. So you've got the sun to your back as you're walking down this wooded path with leaves, and her body was in leaves, partially in the dirt. Because the jewelry they gave me back, that's how I know that she was partially in the dirt. And I had to call the coroner and ask if she was buried. She was not buried. She was just laying on top of the dirt. But the jewelry they had given me back was getting caked in it. I guess from where it had rained or something, it must have gotten muddy. But it was just a leafy area. It didn't look like it didn't look like anything had been disturbed. You couldn't even tell the police had been there.
What?
No, it just looked like a wooded area. It didn't have, like, I couldn't tell it had been 24 hours. It was crazy.
So Kara says, sounds so much like cases in Maine, which you're aware because you now live in Maine, and
Yeah.
how they're handled. It's so frustrating or infuriating. So sorry to hear. Sorry. I don't know why I'm trying to do too many things. You should have Jeff here to help take care of comments and everything. So infuriating. So sorry for her family.
No, they have, the country is 600,000 people that disappear annually. One person disappears every minute. We are not doing enough as a country. We need to band together and do more. One person every minute disappears. 2,300 people disappear a day. That's a lot.
Well, we've been on here for 52 minutes. That means 52 people have disappeared just while we've been doing this podcast.
That's why we've been talking. That's correct. And those stats can't come from NamUs, so you can look it up.
Tori says, we, the family, have done more investigating than the police. That's my daughter. That's my oldest child. So we've done more investigating than the police have. And it's true. Like, this happens in all the time in these cases. The family ends up being the ones, doing most of the investigation.
Yeah, I learned to become an amateur detective.
Let's see, one more question. Exactly every day I see someone on Facebook missing or no answers. Yeah. Unfortunately, like, I spend my day constantly sharing these things. I've got a full-time job, and lots of times I miss the ones that happen during the day, but then I share them later on or whatever. But it's crazy how many people go missing.
Yeah, that is and it's not something we talk about much anymore. When I was a kid, you had people on the milk carton. We don't even do that anymore. It's not advertised. It's something that's hush hush now. I don't know why.
Well, I don't know if it's hush hush. It's just, social media is easier to post an image, I think, but you might not hit the right group of people. Kara says, I agree. We're not doing enough. That's why people like myself. So Kara runs the Missing in Maine page. Travis and Jeff are here to help families spread awareness. Absolutely. Like, that's why we do this. I can tell you, we're not making money and not getting rich off this. I belong to the
Missing in Maine page.
Yeah, I know when you had reached out to me, I thought I had recognized your name for making comments on our post before, and you had said before we went live that you had actually followed us for a while now. So I want to thank you for following us. What made you finally reach out and talk to us?
I saw your Facebook post that you were looking for content, and I like any opportunity that I can to try to get this out there, the story. I wrote Dateline, 48 Hours, all the big news shows, and no one ever wrote me back or got back to me. Or
we're almost as big as them.
Well, then they tell me that she's not news because there's been nobody arrested or charged. Well, the fact that people are disappearing, and especially from such a small county, the statistics in South Carolina, they had 19,868 homicides last year, and 4,561 are unsolved.
So I've got an older sister that lives in South Carolina right now, and my twin brother actually lived down there for a while. I was talking to him today about this case. He said he's like an hour away, but I meant to ask him if he had ever actually heard of the case. It's also weird that the sheriff's department is getting in all kinds of trouble, and they're collapsing right around the same time that this case is going on. So I'm sure that didn't help, with getting her
and all
story
the
out.
original officers aren't there anymore. So, like the one lieutenant, he's now a city councilman. I don't know what happened to the other agent, Agent Dover. We have Agent Johnson now, so hopefully he'll do something different. Like I said, she's going to be put in the AI system, so hopefully that'll help get some answers.
I wonder if AI will say it's probably the dude that she was last seen with that lives 100 yards from where her body was found.
Oh, that's what I'm wondering too.
Stupid.
I mean, deductive reasoning, but it's like Lieutenant Wade Young told me. He's the one that's a councilman now. They're pretty sure they know who did it, but they can't prove it. And we get one shot at this. So due to double jeopardy, we get one shot, and I'd rather them do it right than blow the one shot we have. So she deserves justice, and that's what I'm trying to spread the message.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a sad story, and I truly appreciate you sharing it with us. I have one more comment here. Lack of investigative work can make some cases stay cold. Yeah,
I agree with that. That is the truth.
So is there anything you want to say before we finish up, Kim?
Well, I want to thank you guys for having me on the show. Like I said, there's one person that disappears every 60 seconds. South Carolina last year, they had 290 people disappear just from South Carolina. Still happening down there. I talked to the parents of the families. We're a growing group. Any of your people ever do go missing, please contact me. I like to help people. I help Zachary's parents organize a search, because the cops aren't going to do anything for you. You got to do it for yourself, for your family, and for whoever's missing your loved one. So organize the searches, spearhead, get the word out there, and make a lot of noise, because nobody's else going to do it for you.
Absolutely. So if you have any tips, please contact the Chester County Sheriff's Office at 803-385-5433. And every time we do one of these, I learn something, or you create an idea for me. You had mentioned that you had set up alerts. So because you're not in that area, right, you set up an alert for anytime a news alert or missing body was found or things like that. That's a good idea. I don't know if people would think to do that. I still get the news alert from down there too. I still keep track of the missing people. That's very, very smart of you. So nice job with that. So thank you everyone for joining us. Go back to the comments real quick, see if there's anything else.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in, listening tonight as well. So thank you so much. And please and share this. Like and share, Locating the Lost, and like and share this broadcast, please.
Dimps154 says, thank you for sharing, Kim. I think I know who that is. It looks like someone I know.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Tree says, thoughts and prayers. Some of these names just kill me sometimes. Krista Williams says, I hope you and your family get justice for your girl. Then you got a prayer sign here. God bless you and your families, from Karen. And Kara says, thank you for being part of the group. It's people like you who help other families who are in your shoes. Thank you so much. And you're one heck of an amazing aunt. That's very clear. Veronica says, you did a great job. Yeah. So
everybody's been so kind. Thank you. And thank you for tuning in to listen to us. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. And Veronica, thank you for subscribing. Appreciate that. Bubble says, fingers crossed for justice. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
she deserves it. Beautiful girl. You can tell how close your family is just from the pictures, and I'm so sorry that you are going through all this.
That's why now I advocate for the one that she doesn't have a voice anymore, and some of the others, they can't speak for themselves either. They're not here with us, so somebody has to be a voice. Somebody's got to speak up, make people aware. Most people aren't aware of what's going on in the country. Even sex trafficking, it's a big problem nowadays. So people are disappearing, and we need to do something.
Yeah, we definitely need people to share the post and get involved and try to stop this. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Kim, thank you so much.
Travis, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Please tell Jeff I'm sorry that he couldn't be present, and hopefully I'll get to meet him next time.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
The search for 5-year-old Taylor Williams led investigators to Alabama this week.
So we have some breaking news from Florida. An arrest has been made in connection.
After years of agony, a glimmer of hope for the family. Investigators spent hours searching through this house off Pennsylvania Avenue.
What could be a major development in the search for missing Alabama teenager.
Tonight, a stunning twist in the search for Taylor.
Somebody out there knows something.
They want to lay him to rest their way, not by somebody else's way.